So today I'm here in Torrance, California at the Del Amo Shopping Center where a few movies have been filmed, including one of my favorites, Valley Girl, but they also filmed the Quentin Tarantino movie Jackie Brown here, and a lot of the Jackie Brown filming locations have been torn down since the movie was made, and they just recently tore down another one here at the Del Amo Mall, and today I'm going to give you a little update on that location. So let's go see what we can find. So the location that they just tore down is on the other side of the mall, on the back side, and I'm going to take you over there in a minute and show that to you. But I wanted to talk about a couple of the other things here. I wanted to talk about the area. Well, you know what? Actually, I don't really know where to start. So this whole area on this side, this is where the Sears used to be. That building has been abandoned for a really long time. Over in this corner of the parking lot, there's another abandoned building. I can't remember what this used to be. I think it was a jewelry store at one time. You can see they have stopped doing any kind of landscaping over here. Like this whole section of the mall just looks really bad. You've got the Marshalls, you've got the JCPenney, and then on the back side of this section, you've got a bunch more abandoned buildings. That's where the Acapulco restaurant used to be, and then a bunch of little mom and pop shops, and that whole area has been abandoned for a really long time. And since they are not putting any new businesses in there, and they have stopped doing any landscaping over here, I fear that they are getting ready to tear all of this down. I hope not. Now on the backside of Marshall's, there's a parking structure, and that parking structure was used in Jackie Brown, but you can't get to the level where they filmed Jackie Brown. Why? I have no idea. Now, if we go across the parking lot to the other side of the mall, that's where you've got the Macy's, and I love that Macy's building because it still looks very much like it did in the 80s and 90s. It still has the glass bricks, and it just has that classic mall look. And if you go into the parking structure and you go to the top level, they also used that area in Jackie Brown. That's where Max comes out of the Billingsley department store and he gets in his car and he drives off. And when I was here not too long ago doing Jackie Brown filming locations, nothing had changed up there except for obviously the name of the department store on the building, but everything else looked the same. And when I arrived today, I was very frightened to find that you could no longer get to that parking lot. You can get to the parking lot right next to it, and that is completely deserted. There was not one single car parked up there, and you can see all of the marks on the ground from where everyone comes to just do donuts. Now that same parking garage, if you go to the lower level and then go to the backside of Macy's, there's an entrance that takes you into the mall, and that was used in one of my favorite movies, Valley Girl. This is the escalator where Julie is coming down with her friends and Tommy is going up the escalator with his friends. They pass each other and then they meet at the bottom, and that's where Julie breaks up with Tommy. Now, they remodeled this whole area some years back. Luckily, the escalator is still here, but they remodeled it and they made everything look, you know, more updated. They took those cool big brass door handles off that said Del Amo. But again, I am happy that at least the escalator is still here. Now, if you go up the escalator and you make a right, that would take you to where the food court used to be, and that was heavily featured in Valley Girl. And when I first started coming to this mall, probably like 20 years ago, almost nothing had changed at this mall. The food court looked exactly like it did in Valley Girl. I mean, a lot of the same restaurants were still in that food court. And then one day we came here and that whole section of the mall was walled off, and my heart sunk because I knew what was coming, and sure enough, they ended up remodeling that entire section of the mall. They took the food court out of that section. That food court was also used in Jackie Brown, and again, every time I come here and I pass this area, it breaks my heart to think about how 20 years ago when I first came here, that food court was completely untouched, and now you would never even know that it was here. Now, just a few hundred feet away from where the original food court was, you'll find the new food court. This used to just be like a hallway that you would walk through to get from one side of the mall to the other. And they turned this into the new food court. Definitely not as exciting. Okay, now finally getting to the area that I'm talking about. This is the scene in Jackie Brown where Robert De Niro comes to the mall to get the bag. And he parks on the back side of the mall, and we see him walking through the parking lot, and behind him you can see a Montgomery Ward. Now that used to be right over here is where the Montgomery Ward used to be. It's now the outdoor section of the mall. This is where they have a bunch of restaurants and the Old Navy, and the parking lot that he was walking through is right over here, or was right over here. They just fenced this off and they tore down the last remaining building in this parking lot. And you can see that building in Jackie Brown. Behind them, you can see an auto garage. Now, I believe that was the auto garage for Montgomery Ward, and it used to be located right over here. Now, of course, that auto garage hadn't been used for many years. It was just sitting here abandoned, but just seeing that old building, it brought back a lot of nostalgia. So even though it wasn't being used, I enjoyed the fact that it was here. Now, the first building that they tore down was actually over on this side of the lot, and that was the Black Angus restaurant. That closed down not too long ago, actually, and they fenced it off. And when they did that, I was like, uh-oh. Now, why did they tear all of this down? Why did they tear down the Black Angus? Why did they tear down the Montgomery Ward auto garage? Well, it's because they are getting ready to build a brand new luxury apartment building. Okay, a little bit of a mix-up. So the area that we're currently talking about that's on the mall property, here they're going to be building townhomes. From what I read, 260 new townhomes in 37 separate buildings. And that luxury apartment is in this area, which is on Carson on the other side of Hawthorne, across the street from the mall. So right over here, this is Hawthorne, and this is the mall. So in the same area, a new apartment building and 260 new townhomes. And if you're not from this area, if you're not from Torrance, maybe you don't know, that is exactly what this area needs. There is not a lot of traffic around here. Obviously, I am being very sarcastic. Traffic is horrible in this area. Now, there's still one building in existence that you can see in that scene that tells us that this is the area where they filmed it, and it's right over here. It's not part of the mall. It's actually an office building across the street, and it's this building. I think there's a couple of different times where you can see this building behind them. You can recognize that roof. And so this is now the last building in existence that you can see in that scene. They were parked somewhere over there, and they were walking towards the mall over in this direction, and that's why you can see this building behind them, and why you can also see the auto garage that was here up until just a couple of weeks ago. And also that white building, a little bit later in the movie, you can see that white building all the way down there. That also is not on the mall property. That is across the street from the mall parking lot. Oh, this is so much better. If you come on the other side, the fence is down. We can get a really clear shot. Right over there is where we were just standing, with that building behind us. And then right here you can see this is the foundation from the auto garage. So now we can get a better idea. The car would have been parked somewhere right out there. Like I said, you can see the auto garage behind them, which was right here where this foundation is. And then at some point when they turn, you can see that building behind them. And then over there, somewhere, like where the AMC and where the outdoor area is, that's where the Montgomery Ward was. But this is it. Just wanted to document this because pretty soon this is going to be a big luxury apartment building, and this will be completely unrecognizable, and no one will even remember what used to be here. No one will remember that there used to be a Montgomery Ward and that this is where they filmed Jackie Brown. So I wanted to document that so that, you know, one day someone will watch this video maybe in 20 years and they'll be like, oh, hey, that's where I live. I didn't know that that's what used to be here. Yeah, so there you have it, just a little update on this location. Very sad to see this get torn down. And look, I know that's what happens. Old buildings go down, new ones go up. You know, that's the way the world works. But look, this channel is called 80s Life, and that's what we're interested in here. Things from the 80s and the 90s, and movies from the 80s and 90s. So that's why things like this make me sad. And like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a little update on a filming location of a great movie and a great mall as well. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.